Welcome to the first edition of the Robert Reports. I'm your host, Robert Dillon. Today I will be joined by two guest hosts as I am contractually obligated. Our first, Grandpa Johan. And Radical Randy. Sup, dude? Today our topic is recording devices, specifically portable recording devices. To help explore this device and explain some of the history, we introduce our first guest, Grandpa Johan. On December 4th, 1877, Thomas Edison became the first person to ever record and play back the human voice. Edison at the time was experimenting with how a moving diaphragm linked to a coil could produce a voice-modulated signal. Meanwhile, he was also experimenting with a telegraph repeater, which was a simple device that used a needle to indent paper with the dots and dashes of the Morse code. Out of these two ideas came the concept of attaching the stylus from a telegraph repeater to the diaphragm in the mouthpiece of a telephone. The first test in July of 1877 involved a sheet of paper pulled under the needle, mechanically coupled to a diaphragm, as he shouted into the mouthpiece. Unfortunately, it didn't work. It did, however, produce an unrecognizable sound which was just enough to prove the concept. Tinfoil replaced paper and became the first viable recording media. A band of tinfoil was mounted on a cylinder, and the cylinder was turned via a hand crank during the recording and the playback. Edison turned the crank and spoke the first recorded words. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. Dude, I know that song. Classic, man. This was considered the first analog recording device, which captured sound waves by scratching the pattern onto a medium such as tinfoil. Tinfoil was a decent medium for recording sound, but could only be played back once or twice, only allowed several seconds of recording time, and did not transport well. To solve this issue, inventions of paraffin wax cylinders were used, as they could store more information, about 1 to 2 minutes worth, could be easily transported, and had the ability to delete or erase unneeded information and reuse the cylinders by shaving the wax smooth, creating a new recording surface. This technology was used in the Ediphone and the dictaphone, which remained in office settings until 1947, when the dictabelt was invented. Dictabelts replaced wax cylinders and became the norm for office dictation due to the transportability of the belts, the fact that they could be played back a dozen times or so before wear deteriorated the sound, and depending on the belt size, could hold up to 8 minutes worth of information. This technology changed the office environment dramatically due to its ease of use and transferability of information. The biggest drawback to dictabelt technology was that the belts could not be reused, as they were constructed of vinyl, not wax. Once recorded on, it could not be erased or recorded over. For their time, these devices were not cheap, with the average cost being about $200. Dictabelt technology is what initially led to the modern record, when wax was replaced with vinyl. In the beginning, recordings would start at the outside of the vinyl, and the stylus itself would move inward. The issue with this was the lack of transportability, as the stylus jumped and moved. Eventually, it was discovered that if you moved the vinyl and not the stylus, recording from the inside out, transportability became easier, as the stylus was held in place. This was, of course, the beginning of the modern-day CD. Whoa. Mind-blowing, isn't it, Randy? Many forms of recording mediums were attempted, even a wire recording device which made indentions in solid wiring to reproduce the sound, but still had the same issue as most types of recording devices. Not enough space to record substantial amounts of information, the inability to erase and reuse, and ease of transportability. Open reel magnetic tape solved these issues and changed everything. This, with great trepidation, leads me to our next guest speaker, Randy Radical. How are you today, Randy? Radical! Of course, I shouldn't have expected anything less. What can you tell us about open reel magnetic tape, Randy? What can I tell you about open reel magnetic tape? What can I tell you? Well, I can tell you, I used to have this awesome set of 8-track tapes, man. It was radical. I had them all. But, that's old school, so I had to upgrade. Now, I have the most radical set of cassette tapes ever, man. And with my handy-dandy Walkman, what more do you need to know, dude? Informative as always, Randy. Anything you care to add, Grandpa Johann? Eh? The first advent of open reel recording was demonstrated under Teflophone technology in 1936 at the Radio Exposition in Berlin, Germany. The Teflophone was a belt-driven recorder that used an endless vinyl belt housed in a cassette that recorded the tracks in serpentine fashion. The single most important benefit being that it could record up to 2 hours of information. From the Teflophone came the invention of the Sonoband Record-All. What was unique about this device is that it was one of the first truly portable battery-powered devices for making field recordings. Vinyl was soon replaced by magnetic tape. With magnetic tape, reel could be recorded over again and again and could hold much more information. Eventually, analog recording devices were replaced with digital devices. The same concept of analog recording devices applies, but instead of scratching the sound waves onto a medium, digital recording converts the analog wave into a stream of numbers and records the numbers instead of the wave. The conversion is done by a device called an analog to digital converter. To play back the music, the stream of numbers is converted back to analog wave by a digital to analog converter. The analog wave produced by the DAC is amplified and fed to the speakers to produce the sound. There's a different product category of small handheld gadgets called voice recorders, which are often confused with portable digital recorders. Voice recorders, such as this one, are designed to capture low-quality voice memos, can be found at most stores that carry electronic devices, and run anywhere from $10 to $50. Portable digital recorders are devices with better sounding built-in microphones, better signal-to-noise ratios, more inputs and outputs, and more options for recording high-resolution or compressed audio files. Digital recorders can be purchased at major electronics stores ranging in price from $150 up to $1,500. However, specialty digital recorders are far more expensive and have to be purchased from vendors that specialize in sound recording equipment. Portable analog recording devices are still in use today. However, the digital age is making analog recording devices obsolete. Digital devices allow you to store more audio and allow the user to transfer the information via the internet almost instantaneously. With the advent of iPhone technology, handheld voice recorders, such as this one, may become a thing of the past as voice recording apps are available for iPhones and iPads. As the technology grows, portable digital recording devices are becoming less expensive to purchase, have greater sound quality, and are easier to understand and use. Digital recording technology is continuing to improve and is being used for a much wider variety of applications, such as talk-to-text, voice dialing, and voice recognition. As far as this reporter can see, there is no limit to what can be accomplished with this technology. Thank you for joining us today on the Robert Reports. A special thank you to our guest, Grandpa Johann. And Radical Randy. I'm your host, Robert Dillon, and this has been The Robert Reports.